Hey everyone, it's Nora from Nora's Ark here. It is May 21st in Wisconsin, and this is the weekend before we plant out all of our plants, all of our seedlings, I should say. So we just wanted to show you everything that we have going on in the garden right now. So first things first, look at this garlic. It's humongous. This is our third year growing garlic, and we have never seen it be this big at this stage. It's so awesome. Granted, some of these are elephant garlic, but a majority of them are not. And it's just so cool. The reason that we think they're so big this year is because we used fertilizer in the bed, and then we also did a fertilizer soak on our garlic. And if you want to learn more about that, I'll include a link in the description of a video where we talk about that. But I'm just so impressed. It's so awesome. This garlic is huge. It's so cool. Another thing that is just really cool about this year and past couple years is that when we first started gardening, it was like we just had eggplants and peppers and tomatoes, and we planted everything on Memorial Day weekend, and that's when our garden started. We had to wait a month before we even had anything growing. But since it's our 5th year gardening, like it's our small little food forest we have going on here is really starting to pay off, and it's so cool. I could have never fathomed that we'd have all these plants before we even started putting everything in the big garden. So we have a bunch of herbs here that we've been using, and our sage is flowering, but I read that sage doesn't actually get bitter when it starts flowering, so that's a unique thing about that herb. And also the bumblebees really like the flowers. We also have this strawberry patch that is humongous. This is probably its 3rd or 4th year. And there's so many strawberries. There's so many green ones that are about to turn red in a couple weeks, and I'm just so excited because we're gonna have so many strawberries, and this thing has just really turned out to be an awesome strawberry patch. Something else that's in its 4th year, this is our 4th year, our asparagus patch, and this is the 2nd year that we've been picking from it. So you can see that there's some stalks, or whatever you want to call them, that are already kind of going to seed, but that's because those are the ones that weren't thick enough to pick. So they say you only want to pick ones like this one where it's thicker than a pencil. So we let the other ones just go, so that way the asparagus patch can get stronger. And this week, since it's this year, since it's our 2nd year harvesting our asparagus, we'll pick it for 4 weeks. I was reading that somewhere, and it's really helpful to know how long to pick it, because you don't want to pick it too long and damage the patch. So the first year that we picked from it, we picked for 2 weeks. This year we'll do 4 weeks, and then next year we'll do 6 weeks, which is essentially its whole season. So we're almost coming up. I think we have a week left to pick it, but then we'll just let the rest go to seed. But it's looking pretty awesome. And the funny thing about this is that I was recently reading that for asparagus, you should plant 15 plants per person in your household. We have 2 people in our household, and we only planted 2 plants. So asparagus takes a long time to get going. We definitely don't have like that much, but still it's fun, and now we know how to plant it. So it's still awesome. Something else that we have going on up here, you'll notice we had greenhouses up here. We took those off. It was definitely getting too hot for our greens. Our bok choy is already flowering. We've always had problems with bok choy. It just starts flowering too soon. We probably just need to plant it a little bit sooner in the year, but anyway, the bees like it, so it's okay. We also have some mizuna and some arugula and some lettuce in here, and that's been making some awesome salads, so it's really cool. Our kale is also flowering. We've never had that happen before, but we think we just didn't take the greenhouse off soon enough and it got too hot. But oh well, we'll plant some more and it'll be okay. Two things I wanted to show you guys over here. One is the peas that we have planted. So normally we would plant peas and we would grow them up, but this year we decided, why not grow them down instead and have gravity work for us? Because when you grow them up, it's a lot of maintenance to try to make sure that they're actually grabbing onto the fence that you're growing them on. And so we just figured we'd have gravity work for us, and we'll have them come over this little brick area and just have them grow downwards. So that's something that we're going to experiment with this year, and they're doing pretty well so far, so I think it'll work out good. You'll notice we have all of our seedlings sitting out here. It was a pretty monumental night last night. It was their first night outside, so these plants are officially hardened off. We'll be putting these in the garden next week, and if you want to see more about what plants we all have going on here, we do have a video on that as well. I'll include that link in the description too. But it's pretty exciting. They're officially hardened off, and they will be going into our big garden next week. So speaking of our big garden, let's go take a look and see what we have going on out there. All right, so here is our big garden here behind me. As you can see, we are starting to expand and bringing things outside of the garden. So what do we got going on? This is our stacky, as we like to call it. It's a green stalk planter, and we just always call it the stacky. We have a bunch of different greens in here. We have arugula, Swiss chard, mizuna. We did some bok choy in here as well. It might be too late for that guy as well. But anyways, we also have peas and cilantro. So that is out here. And then something new that we're trying this year, which we're super excited about, is we are trying to grow some mushrooms. So we did 3 different methods. It's our first year doing it, and we're hoping that one of them works. I mean, we're hoping that all of them work. But when you do something for the first time, it's always good to do it a couple different ways, so hopefully you'll be successful. So the first method that we're doing is we're using these laundry baskets that we inoculated with the spawn and some straw, and we just stacked the spawn and the straw and did it kind of like a lasagna method, and those will start poking out the sides of the laundry baskets. We also have 3 more of these, but they're up against our house, and these are oyster mushrooms that we have here. And then we also, our second method we did was straw bales, and those are over here. These are oyster mushrooms as well, and we inoculated the straw bales, and then they'll just start growing out of those. And then the third method, it's back there, kind of hard to see, but we'll show you a close-up of it, is we did wine cap mushrooms in our perennial garden, which has wood chips in it. So wine cap mushrooms like growing in wood chips, so we're gonna try that. And we're just super excited about this experiment because we love mushrooms, and we've never really had, like, I harvested a mushroom fresh from my garden and ate it. So if you garden, you know that anything that you harvest fresh from your garden is so much better than anything you can get from the store. So we're just super excited about the mushrooms, and we're really hoping that this year we can try some fresh mushrooms. Something else that we're trying differently this year is we have these planter pots or bags, grow bags, whatever you want to call them. We are using these this year, and in these ones we have potatoes, and then on this side of me we have carrots. And the reason that we're doing it this way this year is for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that if you've ever grown carrots, you know if you plant them in the ground, it's a lot of work to dig them up. So we figure smarter, not harder. That's our motto. And we figure with the bags that we can just dump out the carrots when they're fully grown and then separate them out, and it'll be a lot easier to harvest them. The second reason is because we have these big trees, this guy behind me, and then we also have one over here. And those trees have really big roots, and we've never had luck growing anything in these corners. So we want to utilize all of our garden space, but those tree roots are really interfering with our growth. So we figure put some straw down, put a grow bag there, and then we can actually utilize that space. And then the reason that we did the straw was just so that we wouldn't have any problems with weeds growing underneath them. That we just literally, this would be like a maintenance-free corner of our garden, and we wouldn't have to weed it or do anything like that. And then over here, we're growing potatoes. And the funny thing is this is our 5th year having a garden, and we've never grown potatoes before. And the reason I say that that's funny is because they say potatoes are like one of the easiest food crops to grow, and we've never done it. But that just goes to show you that even though you could be in year 5 of gardening, you never like know everything. And there's always something new to learn about and something new to grow. So this year for us, it's potatoes and mushrooms and the other probably 100 other projects that we have going on. But anyway, potatoes and mushrooms. And the cool thing about this is that they're growing really fast, and we didn't expect them to grow that fast. So that's pretty cool. Something else that we worked on today actually is plotting out our entire garden. So as I mentioned up there, we have all of our seedlings that we're going to be putting into the garden next week. And what we do is we have a garden planning app or website that we use. We plot everything out, and then it tells us how much space we need for each crop that we're going to grow. And then we plotted out our rows, and then we used these silverware to mark like our sections that we're going to have. And the funny thing about those is that normally we would just do popsicle sticks, and then we would do a popsicle stick on each side, and we would do a string. But we didn't want to do that this year because we would always end up taking that string down once we would actually start planting things, because it would get in the way of maintaining the plants and weeding and whatnot. So we're like, we're not going to do that. It kind of seems like a waste of time and a waste of string. So we just did popsicle sticks at first, but they were really hard to see. So we're like, hopefully we could use colored popsicle sticks. But we went to our local store, they didn't have them, but they had that silverware. So we're like, well, this is cheap and this will work. And we can see them now. So that's what's awesome about it. But if you guys have like other tips of how you guys plan out your garden, or what you use, the materials you use to plan out your garden, we would love to hear about those. So let us know in the comments, because as I mentioned, even though it's our 5th year gardening, there's always new things to learn and always stuff that you can iterate on and do better. But all in all, we're just really excited. About 2 weeks ago, we fertilized this entire garden. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll also include that link in the description. But we fertilized our garden, we plotted everything out. So now all we have to do, I say that way because it's like still a lot of work. All we have to do next weekend is put 325 plants in the ground. But really, it's awesome, it's fun, and we're just glad that we laid this groundwork so that way next weekend we just got to put plants in the ground, and it'll be really exciting. We're glad that we're prepared for our big weekend of planting.